Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan,
the
Spine Breakers. Today we're going to come at you guys with kind of a serious video about some current BookTube events.
Yeah. So you may or may not have heard of the things going on involving Strip Cover Lit, specifically Adrian from Strip Cover Lit. A couple of women came forward and said that he had made several women in the BookTube community uncomfortable with sexual comments
and innuendos and just some inappropriate behavior.
Yes.
That I would absolutely classify as sexual harassment.
Yeah. So we just wanted to make a video because some of you who have found us within the past couple of years may not know that we were actually quite friendly with Strip Cover Lit and Adrian specifically in like the first year of our channel.
Yep.
And we did make a conscious decision to stop communicating with him.
We did.
And to not support their channel anymore. And so we just wanted to talk about why.
So yeah, we just kind of wanted to talk about our personal experience with Adrian, and then kind of just weigh in a little bit on both what has happened, what he's done, what he said about what he's done, and then talk about some of the responses that have come out about the whole situation.
Yeah, and kind of talk about sexual harassment on BookTube in general as well.
Absolutely.
Back when we first started our channel, Strip Cover Lit somehow found us. I don't remember how, and it was generally Adrian who was communicating with us. I think he's always been the one who was more active on social media and stuff. And he started, he shouted out our channel a lot and was, commented on our videos a lot and was really instrumental in, getting our name out there, which we were really grateful for.
Absolutely.
To me, I never felt like we were sexually harassed by him.
I never felt sexually harassed.
No, but he somewhat towed the line sometimes. So he would kind of make,
off-color comments.
Right. But given the nature of our videos and some of the jokes that we make in our videos, that wasn't it
wasn't unheard of or unusual.
Right. So it didn't really offend us. But somewhere down the line, I don't know if we did or said something that offended him in some way, but he kind of started to become a little bit hostile, we felt.
Yeah, super passive-aggressively hostile. And I think it was after, we did a video where we dressed like them and kind of pretended to be them, because I think we did one of their tags.
Yeah, it was a tag, and it was like a BookTube shout-out tag, which I have since removed from our channel because I didn't want anyone to find it and think that we still supported their channel.
Right. Well, I don't want anyone new to our channel to find Strip Cover Lit through us because I don't support them. So,
and so I don't know if he was for some reason offended by that. We of course didn't intend it to be offensive.
We didn't say or do anything.
And he did assure us that he wasn't offended by it. Because after he kind of made some mean comments, I was like, are you upset there, bud? I really hope you weren't upset by that. And he was like, no, it's cool. So he assured us that he wasn't offended by it, but his comments after that
seemed to indicate that he probably was. He was just
they were subtly insulting, I would say.
They were very passive aggressive because I do feel like they implied that he thought we were perhaps not as educated or not as informed or our channel was not as valid as his perhaps was.
And we've spoken to some other people in the community who also felt talked down to by him, or by both of them at different times. But it was a little while after that I decided that I just didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore, because I was like, I just don't like this guy.
Well, and I do feel like their channel definitely carried a negative tone to it. I did not feel after the initial, like we said, they did shout us out a lot, and they did kind of promote us, but I feel like after that, their channel's very negative about anyone who does BookTube differently or who reads differently than they do, and I just don't have time for that.
Yeah, and especially for bigger booktubers, I know that some people have recently, I haven't watched their videos about Christine's new book, but I know some people were upset by their videos on that. But they've been shitting on Christine since the very beginning.
Yeah, that's not a new phenomenon.
They've always made negative comments about her, and I'm not really sure why, other than that she's popular.
And she's a girl.
But regardless, Yeah, so I didn't really want to watch their channel anymore either, or support their channel, just because I did feel like it was kind of a negative and somewhat toxic
just
channel.
Bad energy.
Yeah,
just really bad energy, and I don't do this.
Yeah, like I don't support any channels that like talk down about other booktubers or other parts of BookTube. Yeah, but I mean, I think that you can kind of tell when someone is joking or whenever they actually feel that way.
Well, I feel like one of my biggest things is like, don't be passive aggressive and say that it's a joke, because it's not. And being passive aggressive is a really toxic way to communicate, and it's a really toxic personality trait, and I think it's emotionally abusive. So I have no room for that in my life.
And going into that, we did want to talk about kind of his response after Amy was the first one to come forward and say anything about it. And his response was kind of appalling.
It was really toxic and shitty.
Yeah, and he has since deleted those posts, but he posted like very personal messages that she had
between the two of them that she shared with him in confidence.
To show that he was a supportive friend.
And we are not going to disclose the content of those messages, and we're not going to repost anything about those messages here, but just know that they were deeply personal, and she was being vulnerable with him, and he definitely exploited that for his own gain, which is in itself abusive.
Right. And then he also posted something about a conversation with her about another booktuber that just made him look even creepier. In my opinion, I don't know what he was thinking. Like, and this is a response that I've seen from other people saying like, well, maybe he didn't realize what he was doing, and maybe he didn't, but that doesn't matter.
It doesn't excuse it. Like, that's the thing. Being abusive and ignorant is not an excuse for being abusive.
Right. Yeah, and I've also seen people who have had a positive experience with him defending him, saying, well, he never made me feel this way, so these people must be lying or must be a misunderstanding. And I think that it's really important to remember that your experience with someone is not everyone's experience with that person.
And your experience does not negate theirs.
Right.
So I think like, and one thing that I've seen, it's like a quote I've seen posted around, but I think it actually is very valid. When someone tells you that you hurt them, you don't get to decide that you didn't.
Right.
So even if it wasn't your intention to hurt them, even if you don't understand how you hurt them, if someone says you hurt me, you don't get to decide that you didn't.
Right.
It's then your job to ask some follow-up questions and learn from that experience, apologize to them for having hurt them, and grow as a human. That's your responsibility at that point. But it's not your job to become defensive or to show like why you're such a great person and they're wrong. That is not what should happen at that point.
Yeah. And he has since posted an apology that is, he said all the right things in it, I would say. To me, it seemed a little bit too little too late. I feel like he was just saying what he felt he should say.
I think he tried a couple of other things first, and those didn't work, so he's like, well, maybe this will work. Like, I think that at this point, he's grasping at straws for redemption, and I don't think it's sincere.
Yeah. I mean, whether it is or not, I guess time will tell. But I know that some of the women affected have also said that they didn't feel his apology was sincere, so, you know, I guess it's up to them to decide. Yeah, and I did want to mention that there was a couple of men who made videos about this, Jay Shea and also Brian from Bookish, and I'll link their videos below, and I really appreciated them, you know, supporting the women in the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really liked what they said in their videos, especially Jay Shea's.
Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate those men specifically coming forward and like saying, you know, I believe these women, I support these women. Jay Shea, I felt like he had a very visceral reaction to what happened. And I really appreciated that about his video because you could tell he was personally affected by it.
Yeah.
And he even said, like, one thing that really got me about what he was saying was that as a male, he's blissfully unaware of what women experience.
Right.
And for him to recognize that Like, that was really cool to me that he was able to say that and to relate to that. So I had a lot of respect for his video, and I really appreciate what he said.
And he also brought up, I think it was him, it might have been Brian, but I think it was Jay that brought up the male booktuber tag that went around recently, or somewhat recently. I don't know, I don't remember who created that tag. I think maybe their channel doesn't exist anymore, and I don't know what their intention was behind that tag, but it did always kind of bother me, and we did that tag.
Yeah.
And
did we do it seriously, or did we do it kind of sarcastically?
I think we did, but we answered the questions kind of like, because like the first question was like, do you think there's a lack of male booktubers? Yeah. And we were like, no. I mean, there's fewer, but
I don't feel a deficit there.
the way the questions were worded and everything kind of, to me, implied that it was like a bad thing that booktube was dominated by women.
Right.
And I just am like, can't we just have a thing? Like, can't we have a thing that's ours? And I mean, I'm not saying that I don't want men in the community, because there's a lot of great guys in the booktube community.
But here's the thing. Literature for decades, for hundreds of years, has been dominated by men. And the conversations surrounding literature have been dominated by men. And when women try to have some floor and have some voice and have some space in these conversations, we typically get shit on and shut down. So we have this arena where we can share our thoughts and our feelings and, you know, discuss literature and discuss books and have a good time with it. And of course, if there's men involved, it can't be a safe place.
No.
Which is unfortunate. Like, I feel like this whole thing with Adrian Fort just kind of reinforces the fact that anywhere men are invited to the conversation, there's going to be some toxic traits to it. Like, there's going to be some...
And I mean, women can be toxic too. Like, we're not saying that we're all fucking saints here either, but...
No.
Yeah.
But I think that unfortunately Adrian maybe unwittingly confirmed all of the, like, men are trash. Like, men are trash stereotypes. I don't like to feel like that. I don't want to feel like if I invite a man to the table, I'm going to be condescended to, or I'm going to be harassed, or I'm going to whatever.
We've mentioned this before, but we were talking earlier about how I'm pretty certain that every single negative comment that we have ever gotten on our channel has been from a man. And
they've been very, like, condescending.
Often condescending. Comments. We've gotten like a couple troll comments that were just flat out horrible.
Why do you have clown hair?
Not as bad as the comment that Emma from Emma Books, I think is her channel name. She posted a truly horrifying comment that she had gotten she posted it on Twitter around the same time that all this was happening. So, you know, sexual harassment and sexism in general is definitely prevalent on BookTube, which is unfortunate. And
because no matter what the platform, men feel like they're entitled to comment on our bodies and sexuality and appearance, which is unfortunate. Even in a platform where we are predominantly discussing ideas and books and literature and things that are you know, of a semi-intellectual
and even
nature.
just like shitting on bigger booktubers for, you know, whether it's for the way they conduct themselves, the types of videos they make, or the types of books they read, because most bigger booktubers are women, but still,
that's garbage.
Toxic.
I mean, that's garbage. Like, like I said, I really don't have a place. I don't have space in my life for people who are just negative toward other people for no reason. And I think that whatever you bring to the BookTube community, whether I'm interested in it or not, it's valid. I don't think that it's my responsibility to judge whether you're intellectual enough, or whether you're valid enough, or whether your ideas are correct. Like, that's not on me. I think the fact that you're willing to talk about them and share them is a wonderful thing. And if people are talking about books, isn't that what we're here for? If people are reading, isn't that what we're here for? So I think that, you know, I really don't have a place for that kind of negativity.
Wanted to share kind of our experience with Adrian and our thoughts. And I mean, I think it was very telling that whenever Amy first posted about this, she didn't specify which of them, Adrian or Dalton, that she was talking about. And we immediately
knew
was
who
like,
it was. It's Adrian.
99% sure it was Adrian.
Yeah.
And another woman, another booktuber, also said the same thing.
Right.
That she was like, knew immediately that it was Adrian that they were talking, that she was talking about, and not Dalton. So, you know, I think that's very telling in and of itself. Yeah. And also, you know, even though we never felt like he sexually harassed us, we were not at all surprised to learn that he had done, you know, crossed a line with other women. You know.
I do feel, like we had talked about with us, like he'd made some comments that were kind of maybe on the fence, but given our content, maybe weren't.
Right.
But I do feel like what predatory men do is that they test the waters and they see how they're received. And I think that I do believe that that's what he was doing with us. Yeah. As uncomfortable with what the initial comment was, and she doesn't say anything, then he'll push it further. Like if he feels like he can push further, he will, and that's a common trait in predatory men. And I think that's what he was doing with us.
And I've also seen people say, well, these women should have told him that they were uncomfortable, or they should have said something. Well, you know, as in our case, and I'm sure in a lot of these women's cases, like, I felt, one, that I somewhat owed him something because he shouted our channel out so much.
Right.
And two, I felt kind of intimidated because he was so loved.
They're
felt in the community.
Yeah, they almost have a cult following.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It is creepy. But we aren't here to talk about that.
Right.
But for a woman, I think that you're kind of conditioned to, first of all, make sure that you're safe.
Right.
Above feeling comfortable, you have to make sure that you're safe.
And men can so quickly get very angry if you reject them.
Yeah. I mean,
and like,
all
yes,
had
it's
experiences
over
where
the
that's
internet
happened.
where he couldn't do anything to you physically, but it's still really shitty to get, you know, verbally abused.
Well, and look what he did to Amy.
Right. Yeah.
He posted these very personal conversations,
stuff.
And I think some of the other women are maybe afraid of the same thing, where maybe they've had very personal. I don't know this for sure, so I'm just kind of speculating. None of them have told me this directly, so I want to be very clear about that. But I think that
it's possible.
It's possible that they've had some very personal conversations with him that perhaps they're afraid of him sharing. And would that be a toxic, garbage, shitty human thing to do? Yes, absolutely it would. But that doesn't stop men from doing it.
Right.
And it doesn't stop people from responding negatively toward women that men do that to. And I think that we've seen that in some of the responses to this entire situation so far.
Yeah. And again, going back to the whole, like, maybe he didn't know what he was doing thing. Like, he's a grown-ass man. Like, he's in his 30s,
our responsibility.
I think. And most of these women that he was doing this to were in their early 20s, maybe even late teens. I don't know. So, you know, just think back. I mean, if you're a woman, I suppose, maybe if you're a man as well, like, think back to where you were when you were in your early 20s. Because I know for me, I was in, like, a very vulnerable state.
Me too.
I was still trying to figure out
who I was.
I didn't have a lot of experience with men. So I didn't know shit. Like, I would have been very
flattered, maybe, or
any, you know,
intimidated, or whatever.
Yeah. So I think that it's, even though these women were like of age, it's still really shitty for a 30-something-year-old man to be basically preying on women also, 10 years or more younger than him.
It's not a woman's job. It is not our job as women to teach men when they're being gross or when they're being toxic. It is not, we are not schools or education centers or rehabilitation centers for garbage ass dudes. It is not our job to teach them.
Right.
They need to, I mean, you're a grown ass human in this world. You learn and you grow. And like, have there been times when I've been pretty toxic? Absolutely. But you know what I did? I fucking learned and I grew. And I'm not perfect.
We all make mistakes.
We do. But it's your responsibility to learn about your toxicity and to take care of that shit. It's not anyone else's job to teach you about that. Especially, like, I feel like women get the burden of that. Like, oh, you know, any good woman can change a bad man. Or like, oh, they should have told him.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. No. You should know how not to be a trash human being.
Yeah, and it's not that hard to just be respectful to people.
No, it's really
not hard.
It's not.
You know, there's ways, if you are attracted to someone online, to go about that very respectfully.
In a super uncreepy way.
And he didn't do that.
Nope.
Do you think we have anything else to add?
No, I think I think we've said plenty. Yeah. But I just want to be...
We were trying not to get too ranty. We even made bullet points.
We prepared for this because...
But then we left them over there so that we
did follow this. We followed this.
Yes, we did.
So, but I do want to be very clear about the fact that we do not support Adrian or his behavior whatsoever. We believe the women who've come forward, and we believe the women who haven't come forward.
Yes.
If any woman who's watching this ever experiences any kind of sexual harassment on BookTube, please feel free to reach out to us because we will definitely be your allies.
Yes.
We have no fucking tolerance for that shit.
Yeah.
So, if you are feeling like that, please let us know. We'd be happy to talk to you.
Yeah. That's all we have to say. Please be respectful in the comments.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want to in the comments, but all that we ask is that you're respectful. Please don't take it to a combative or unhealthy place in the comments. You are free to disagree with us in the comments. That's okay. We just ask that you're respectful to us and to each other.
And maybe think about what you're saying and how that might affect
someone else.
Any victim in this situation as well.
And if you had been through something similar, think about how you would feel if someone said what you were going to say to you.
Right.
That's all that we ask. So.
All right. So, thank you for watching.
And hopefully we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.